This is Winged Nation, coast to coast, dirt track to dirt track. 1 hour of winged sprint car talk. Now a couple of guys who think they'd make a great boy band. Steve Post and Chris Dolack.
Hello again. Not sure about the boy band thing.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, we're on the same page with that. Welcome aboard. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. We are so glad you joined us here as we talk sprint car racing. Chris Dolack filling in for Kendra Jacobs. Kendra is, I believe, on her way to Knoxville. Her gig over there is keeping her busy, so we miss Kendra, but glad Chris has joined us here as well. Later on the program, Daryn Pittman, Greg Wilson, and Bryan Clauson going to join us. We're going to talk a lot about the world of outlaw craftsman sprint cars as they kick it up this weekend. And we've got a whole lot more, so we're glad you joined us here on MRN Wing Nation. As we mentioned, Chris Dolack is here, and you can catch Chris's fine work with Speed Sport Magazine, Speed Sport TV, all of that. Chris, welcome aboard. Good to see you, man.
It's exciting to be here. I've gotten a lot of advice this morning from all sorts of people, and including Mr. Doty, who's
Brad Doty,
yeah. Brad's been throwing some advice to me on Twitter.
Throwing
so we'll
some
see
advice
how we do.
and some jabs.
Yes, yeah,
and some jabs.
Probably
Well,
deservedly so.
That is Brad, exactly. Speed Sport. We know the iconic. In fact, I wrote down in my notes, National Speed Sport News. I said, wait a minute, it's no longer National Speed Sport News. We love what Chris Economaki established. I think we love even more what Ralph Shaheen is doing with it. Speed Sport. What is going on with Speed Sport? What's happening over there?
There's quite a bit going on. The National Speed Sport News has evolved into Speed Sport. It's become a multimedia company. We have a show, Suzuki Presents Speed Sport on MAV TV,
Yep.
Speed Sport Magazine, speedsport.com, The Daily. You can get your news any which way you want, covered across the board, but honestly, we were looking at it yesterday, and sprints and midgets are the number one thing that we cover.
Really? Imagine that. Now, I'm not really surprised at that. We see it here at MRN as well. I mean, I know we have this behemoth NASCAR stuff that does pretty good,
Yeah.
But beyond that, the sprints really do well with what we do here at Wing Nation.
It's important, and the short tracks and the short track fans are such a crucial part of what speed sport is and part of their history, and I'm fortunate enough to just be able to jump in here based off of what Ralph and the guys have built up over the last couple of years.
You know, the one thing I really enjoy, my inbox when I wake up every morning is just chock full of crap. I mean, you know, like everyone else, we're all busy and we get on this and we can't get off from this and we sign up for this and we don't sign up for things. But the one thing I get every day is the daily email, which is kind of a recap of what the latest stories are. I would encourage anybody, if you're not getting that, to get it. That is cool. I just don't know when you guys put that together.
I tell you, the guys, Adam and Aaron and Mike, that put that together, I used to think I didn't sleep much working with the Outlaws over the years. These guys, they can't sleep because this thing comes out. They're constantly updating. I was forwarding them a couple of releases yesterday saying, hey, might want to get this up on the site, and they email back, already done. So these guys are so quick with getting the news up there and getting the news out, and the Daily is a really neat tool. It's something easy. Just go to speedsport.com, sign up.
Yep,
it's free,
absolutely.
And you'll love it every morning. And 10 o'clock in the morning, you get all the news and everything from the night before.
Now, another hat you wear is Racing Daddy. Now, your son, Tyler, and this is really cool. I was out at Millbridge Speedway a couple of years ago and ran into Chris out there. He was out there with his young son. Jeannie Butler was out there. Everyone's just kind of hanging out, and I see Chris kind of milling around and looking at one of the carts out there, and I didn't realize until we started talking. I guess I was there for the first ride for Tyler as he climbed aboard, but now he's doing pretty good with his racing.
It has been an education for both of us. As an old PR guy and a writer, I told Tyler, the joke was, I said, boy, I don't know how to make your car go any faster, but I'll make you a really good-looking hero card. And so we've done that, and I've actually made some hero cards for some other people that have helped me out and taught me a little bit about how to get things tuned a little bit better and where you put the wheels and all sorts of stuff. Make sure you get the right on the right side and the left on the left, and the rest of it's up to him, and he's been doing a great job. It's been a lot of fun. We're starting, I think, March 9th is the 2016 opener, so can't wait for that.
Back at it, really, really cool. It has to be an amazing experience from having all of your experience in the sport and dealing with team owners, dealing with drivers on a larger scale and on a comparable scale size-wise, because you've dealt with it across the board. There has to be some eye-opening experiences like, well, I remember one time when Schatz said something, there's got to be things that a light bulb goes on and says, well, it makes a little sense now from a different perspective.
It makes a ton of sense. I've actually gone back and apologized to a lot of people. Hey, there was one night I was yelling at an official, and I stopped and I said, wait a minute. I'm not going to be that guy. I've already been that guy. So, but yeah, I've learned so much just in working with the cars and just the little things, and especially with the sprint cars and the wings and the air pressure and all sorts of things. Just tuning this and tuning that, gear changing. I think the guys kind of laugh at me now. A lot of the KKR guys are out there, and sometimes I think they get a kick out of seeing me thrashing in the back of the car trying to change gears between heats in the feature or whatever. And I'm, where's Ricky Warner when you need him?
That's right, exactly. So, well, that is really, really cool. Let's take a look at our Valco Racing Wheels results page. Of course, Valco Racing Wheels brings you this. Still not a lot of racing. We're getting there, though. The Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions, the season opener, Bubba Raceway Park Friday night, Ocala, Florida. And Craig Kinzer came out of the box, scored the win. Dale Blaney, Greg Hodnett, Chad Kemenon, Caleb Armstrong, a good run. But, man, I'll tell you, it has to be great for Craig Kinzer to get into victory lane so early, so strong, with Arctic Cat as his sponsor, the series sponsor, since they've announced that they're going to run the All-Star Tour. Great start for Craig Kinzer.
A tremendous start for those guys, and you know how much work that those guys put into it over the winter. All these teams, everybody puts in so much work, and to come out of the box and get that first win, and it wasn't an easy win. I mean, you saw him holding off Hodnett and Blaney. I mean, he wanted that thing. You could tell he wanted that win, and he earned it. It was a really neat night.
One of the things Kendra and I have talked about is the parity across the sport, and we see this at Winter Heat. We see this some degree at Knoxville, although the Outlaw guys seem to really go into Knoxville and do well. We see the Pennsylvania, obviously the rival there. We see it in Ohio. And what I like, and yes, I know that technically Craig Kinzer is now an all-star. But when you look at Craig Kinzer, up until Friday night, he was a World of Outlaw driver, okay? What I love about this thing is World of Outlaw, all-star, Pennsylvania Posse, your front three. I just think this parity we have across 410 racing is so good that guys like Hodnett or like Danny Dietrich when he shows up, or Brett Marks can go well whenever they travel with the World of Outlaws. There's some great racers in Ohio. Chad Kemenaugh, he can go anywhere in the country and do well. Greg Wilson, who we'll talk to later on, is actually advancing. The guys from California run so well. I still think that this parity we have in 410 racing is amazing.
It is. And as you mentioned, California has really kind of over the last couple of years had a rebirth, if you will. But honestly, you look at Florida in February right now, and you show up down to Florida, and anybody can win any given night, and they've proven it, whether it's Ocala or Volusia or wherever. Last year, I think Hodnett won a couple nights down there. You'll see Kemenaugh's won down there. Obviously, the Kinzers have won down there, both Steve and Craig. It's just a neat place, and everybody kind of almost sort of testing what they've got for the rest of the year. The thing on the Outlaw side of it is you walk out of Florida, you're going to Texas, you're going to Nevada. You don't have time. You better be ready to go. So
Absolutely. Now, sadly, Saturday night for the All-Star Circuit of Champions rained out.
That'll happen.
Saturday night.
Craig.
There we go. We have new toys. And we wanted to play with our new toys, so there we go. It was rained out Saturday
Just like
night.
the race teams have all new equipment this year, sounds like Wing Nation has all new equipment.
Wing Nation with all new toys, so we even have rain sound effects. Craig, that's the last time this year, though, we want to hear the rain sound effect. We've played with it. It works. There we go. Absolutely. Sunday, All-Tech Raceway, the Top Gun Sprints. We talked a little bit about these guys last week. Matt Kurtz scored the victory, his second win, as he won the week before at East Bay. That is your Valco Racing Wheels results page. Valco Racing Wheels, made by racers, for racers. You can find out more information at www.valco.com. We need to step away. When we come back, Daryn Pittman joins us here on the program.
Hi, I'm Craig Kinzer, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm Marty Hobson. Duff, co-host of MRN.com's The Straight Line. Join me and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert as The Straight Line returns for 2016 on February 11th. We'll talk with all the top names in NHRA drag racing, give you the latest news, and preview upcoming races. The Straight Line returns noon Eastern at a new day, Thursday, February 11th on MRN.com.
Tickets are moving fast for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, February 21st, and it's your one chance to be a part of the biggest race in a generation. The all-new Daytona is 31 million pounds of steel, forged by racing's greatest legends in the heat of battle for the most coveted trophy in NASCAR, the 2016 Daytona 500. Now, forever. Seats at the all-new Daytona will sell out. Guarantee yours now at 1-800-PIT-SHOP or Daytona500.com.
Back to the dirt. Here's Steve Post and Chris Dolack.
Welcome back. We are having a great time. We are so glad you joined us here on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Great stuff going on. While we're waiting to dial up Daryn Pittman, let's take a look at our birthdays this week. These are brought to you by the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa. They are doing the Expand the Dream program, www.sprintcarhof.com. That's www.sprintcarhof.com. Sunday, the birthday was Josh Wise. Monday, Jimmy Oskey and Gene Lynch. Gene just recently inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Today, Jan Opperman. We'll talk about Jan in just a little bit. Wednesday, Jason Sides and Jack Dover. Thursday, Fred Offenhauser. Friday, Kevin Doty, Dick Toby Tobias. Saturday, Steve Smith's birthday. I also want to shout out one of our producers, Robbie Mays, his grandmother's birthday, Barbara Eddings, 86 years old, and twisted in today here to Wing Nation. So,
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. One of the birthdays, Jan Opperman, birthday today, would have been 77 years old, 1990 Hall of Fame class, 71 Knoxville National winner. One of those incredible stories, but tragic stories along the way, was Jan Opperman with the head injury ultimately.
Yeah, no doubt. But a great racer. I mean, the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, when the stories live on to today, you know, it's just shows about what kind of a racer he was.
Yeah, he was an outlaw before there were outlaws.
Yeah.
He would run about anywhere, anytime, and really not aligned all that much with too many folks.
Right,
A couple years he ran the full USAC schedule. Interesting personal life. Early in his life, he was in the hippie drug culture. Late in his life, became a very devout, active Christian man. And so he's even got everyone happy there.
Just like us, really.
Just
I
like
mean,
us,
when you think about it.
Exactly, yeah, the hippie culture, yeah, that would be us. Yes, exactly. So would have been Jan's 77th birthday, passed away in 1997. That all part of our National Sprint Car Hall of Fame calendar. Again, sprintcarhof.com. That is sprintcarhof.com. And make sure you check out the great stuff they have. That gift shop they have, that online store is absolutely amazing. A guy that at some point will likely be inducted into that National Sprint Car Hall of Fame joins us. He drives the Casey Kane Racing Great Clips #9. Daryn Pittman is on the line. Hello, Daryn. Welcome to Wing Nation.
Hey, Steve. How you guys doing?
We are doing well. How are you? You ready to go? You chomping at the bit? How are things as you get ready to go this weekend?
Yeah, really good. Excited. You know, it's there's times of the year you're like, man, I can't wait to get a break, and November rolls around and you're ready for off season. And I don't know about everybody else, but man, I get home for about a week or two and it's like, man, okay, it's enough of this. Let's get back to racing. So no, I'm excited to get back behind the wheel. I mean, we got to race in Yuma, it was good, but there's nothing like starting the year off and doing it down here in Volusia, one of the fastest tracks we go, and I had a great off season, but in the same token, it's ready to get back to work and get back to racing. That's what we do best and what we enjoy the most.
Hey, Daryn, it's Chris. How are you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. So I know that every year you guys have gone down there, down to Volusia. You take that 8-hour ride down there, or maybe a little bit quicker if Cale's driving, and you guys sit back and you talk about your goals for the year. So what are the goals that you guys have spelled out on that ride down this year?
Actually, we quiet ride yesterday. We actually haven't got that far. We will definitely do that before we start racing, though, no doubt. I mean, I think we, personally all have, goals that we want to achieve, but I actually haven't sat down this year and had that talk as far as a team goes yet to, see we got one new guy with Steve, and what some of his goals will be to accomplish in his first year with us, and Josh returning for a second year. So it'll be interesting to see, but we will do that before we start racing. But I hadn't got that far yet.
Daryn, of course, joining us on the Hercules Tire Hotline here. He is on the Classic Inc. pole position, our first interview of the show, so we need to make sure we mention that as we continue our conversation. Daryn, you race car drivers crack me up because you talk about these high-speed racetracks, and this doesn't matter whether it's a NASCAR guy, a late model guy, a stock car guy, and we talk about Volusia, and yeah, statistically the fastest track up until I think last year, maybe that record got beat. But do you get a sensation, I mean, does it really get your attention how fast you're going there?
Yeah, and I don't know, it's probably a couple things. A, the track's fast. It doesn't matter if we raced here in July or August, and we had been racing for, 4 months straight. But I think the fact that it's fast and it's the first race right out of the gate, no doubt that after we start racing and you run a lot of fast tracks, that the speed, sensation disappears a little bit as a driver. And, when you've been out of the car for a month or 2 months, you get in and your first laps around Volusia, trust me, you're in the back of the seat and you realize, how fast you're going. So it's a fast track in general, but for it to come, always is the first race right out of the gate, off a break, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, this is, practice night to me this is actually this is a really enjoyable, time tonight just to go out there and make some laps, nothing on the line, just to get comfortable in the car and get your senses back as far as to how quick you're going and the feel that you're looking for in your race cars. It's a lot of fun because tomorrow it gets serious. You start racing and you don't get to maybe enjoy it as much as, there's a little more on the line and you're focused a little bit harder. So, like I said, I don't know if, it's hard to back them, the different tracks as far as what feels fastest, but, the air's cold down here. The engines run good as they're ever going to run all year long, and it's one of the biggest, fastest tracks we run. So it's, for any of the sprint car drivers that, like the bigger tracks, this is one of the best places and the most fun tracks we go to.
Hey, Daryn, a question came in over Twitter about, where do you need to improve to be the champ? And if you remember, 2013, I mean, you led wire to wire, and you started fast, and starting fast is obviously crucial to that. Starting fast this year, was that, obviously you want to do that. You want that big gator like everybody else. But that fast start, is that really where you can make the difference when it comes up toward the end of the year?
Well, it's good to start that way. But, it's all in how you finish. I mean, we left here last year. We, I don't think ran out of the top 5 at any of the 5 nights and won 2 races. Left here with, winning the overall, Big Gator for, the second time in 3 years. So we've always been good here. So we expect to run well, but we know that's going to be tough. But, we fell apart, after this. We went to California and really struggled, and I wrecked a lot, ended up getting hurt in one of those and missed some races. So, we put a lot of focus in starting well, Volusia for sure, but, it's going to take putting a whole season together like we did in 2013 to, contend for a championship. And, we're not overly sure how, what happened last year. We just struggled. We did not have a bad season. We just were way off from where we were in 13. And honestly, even 2014 was a great season for us. We won 14 races that year and had more top 5s and top 10s than we did in 13. Donnie was just obviously that much better than us in 14. But we just need to get back to where we were in 13 and 14 consistently, where we're winning races. Last year we were only winning 5. That's not going to cut it. I mean, you've got to be in the, no doubt in the teens, if not the high teens. I think to contend for a championship. And then you've got to put it together with consistency as far as the nights that you're not able to win. You've got to put together top 3s and top 5s and really minimize your DNFs. So no doubt that the last month to 2 months of the year, we were one of the best cars on tour last year. We really got back to, I felt like, where we were, at our best and really finish the year really strong. So I'm excited with where we're at as a team. I think we're flying a little under the radar. Everybody's obviously focused on Donnie, just, who can compete with him and a lot of pressure. A lot of guys think the 2-car can do it, in which they obviously had a great year. But I'm happy with where we're at. I know that, we've got the guys that can do it. And if we can find speed in our car and be consistent with it and be able to adjust from the big to small tracks and obviously throughout the heat of the summer, that we'll be there right there at the end of the year and bounce back from what was, definitely a trying season last season. I think we can bounce back and contend and be up front a lot more this year.
Indeed, yeah, it is. It's it's amazing how tough it is. And when you talk about having to win higher teens, that just boggles the mind. But unfortunately, it does look like that's the nature of it. That Twitter question about improving was from William J. William. Another Twitter question came in, and you can get your Twitter question in by tweeting us at Wing Nation. Steve Patterson writes, and he was inquiring about the girls joining you on the road. Now you have 2 daughters, I believe it is. And as the kids get older, how has that changed? And are they going to be on the road with you this year?
Well, it's a blessing, and it's great that they can do that, and that obviously I've been fortunate enough that racing's been good enough that they can travel with me, and I wouldn't want to do it any other way. My wife's the one that's definitely got to have more of a work cut out for her than me. She works the T-shirt trailer most of the nights, and last year I think she thought Katie, our newest, was a little bit of a challenge, and she wasn't mobile yet. Now she's up and going, and I think that the 20 feet of aisle space in our T-shirt trailer is going to get really small real fast throughout the course of the season. So she's up and not quite walking yet, but, man, she's active, and if she's awake, she's pretty full throttle. So I just get to see the smiles after the race. When I'm done, it's great to go to the motorhome or the T-shirt trader to see both of them, and obviously my wife. But it definitely is a challenge to travel with 2 young kids, and Taylor is all she knows. I mean, she's almost 7 years old, and she loves it, and basically knows which tracks we're going to and what to expect. And so she's the easy one, but it definitely is going to get more challenging, I think, as Katie gets a little bit older, and until she's old enough that we can get a little bit better control of her movements, I guess, for sure. So it's definitely gonna be a challenge, but one that I wouldn't trade it for any other way. I mean, I see so many guys that have to leave and leave their wives and their kids at home and miss a lot of that, and I feel very fortunate and blessed that they're able to travel with me and experience the road and everything, and we get to do it all together as a family. Like I said, there's days that it's you want to pull your hair out, but like I said, all in all, we wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
No doubt. It is an amazing ride, that's for sure, and we know it's going to be a good one for you. Daryn, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. Good luck with practice tonight. I'm assuming, are you going to run the 2 All-Star shows down there as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're here for you don't leave with a big gator without racing all of them, so we'll see if we can't, see how well we run. But, obviously we enjoy all the nights of Volusia. This is it's actually become one of my favorite tracks. I mean, it's just a lot of fun to come here and go that fast, and it normally puts on a good race. So we're excited for practice tonight. We'll see where we shake out as far as speeds, and it's all about who can lay down a lap tonight and see where, you kind of got a good idea for who's fast right out of the gate. Tonight, and then, it gets serious tomorrow and even more serious as the week goes on as they turn into outlaw shows. So we're looking forward to it.
We are too as well. Daryn, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
There he is. That's Daryn Pittman, driver of the Great Clips #9 car for Casey Kane Racing. He's hoisted the Gator before. No reason to believe he won't be in the hunt to hoist it again. Chris, one thing he said, one thing I love about sprint car racing is he's talking, you're going to have to win high teens.
Yeah.
And I think other forms of racing have adapted winning becoming more important. We talk about it all across the NASCAR world with the chase and everything like that. That's one thing I've loved about sprint car racing is the biggest prize is a race win. It's the Knoxville Nationals, but winning is so important. We very rarely hear, I mean, he mentioned you have to have good, solid nights, but we don't hear a lot of point racing when it comes to sprint cars.
No, I mean, winning is everything for these guys, and Daryn, when he, even a second place finish, I remember a night last year at Cedar Lake where He wound up second. He was so hard on himself. That team is built to win, and they're all about winning, and that's really, their focal point.
Bless his heart. There's times I'm watching when he finishes second and third on Dirt Vision, you just want to reach through the screen and give him a hug. My God, it's like it's just he does, and that's the professional, and that's why he's so good. The 2013 champ. Daryn joined us on the. He was the Classic Inc. pole position driver. Great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, shorts, hats, all kinds of things. Great drivers like Bryan Brown, Donnie Schatz, Danny Dietrich, Danny Lasowski, and Tyler Dolack have Classic Inc. shirts.
Yes, Brian Ellenberger, Classic Inc. He even made the Tyler Dolack shirts. So
there we go.
They were pretty cool.
Pretty cool indeed. You can find out more information at ClassicIncUSA.com. That's www.ClassicIncUSA.com. The newest outlaw joins us next. Stay with us. Greg Wilson is up next.
Hi, I'm Dale Blaney, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Racers, that's who Valco wheels are. That's who they know, and racing is what they know. Valco Wheels focuses oval track and grassroots racing, and understand racers need a quality wheel that fits your budget. With over 25 years experience, Valco Wheels produces the best product and give you face-to-face support and customer service at the track. Fast delivery, innovative products, problem solving. Find Valco Wheels at Valco.com on Twitter or Facebook, or call Valco Wheels at 609-758-7013. Valco Wheels.
Hi, I'm NASCAR driver Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease? Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what your sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
It might be the NASCAR off-season, but we're here 52 weekends a year on NASCAR USA. I'm your host, Rob Tanner, joining you for 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound from the biggest stars in Nashville. Along with off-season racing reports from the Motor Racing Network's own Speed Post, we'll spotlight driver features and interviews you can't get anywhere else. You're up to speed all year long at America's tailgate party, NASCAR USA.
Back to the dirt. Here's Steve Post and Chris Dolack.
Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. We're so glad you joined us. Chris Dolack filling in for Kendra Jacobs, who is jetting her way to Knoxville, getting ready for her gig out there. So I know they're busy. As a matter of fact, I think tonight they have another town hall meeting. So you can check that out. I believe I saw that on Twitter. So
they have a lot of those out there.
They have a lot of those,
yes.
But it's Kendra and the gang gathering insight, gathering information on what they want to see, what fans want to see, what teams want to see. So there's a lot of listening going on at their town halls, and I believe they have another one. One of the biggest pieces of news during the offseason, it took place at the PRI show up in Indianapolis in December, is that Greg Wilson is going to take his Hercules Tires-sponsored car onto the World of Outlaw Tour after running with the All-Stars and having so much success last year. And Greg joins us on the Hercules Tire Hotline. Welcome back, Greg. How are you, man?
Real busy right now. Thanks for having us.
Real busy, and are you excited a little bit?
Yeah, very excited. Pretty tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be looking forward to getting through this next weekend here and catching our breath a little bit. It's been a real madhouse here at the shop, and we've had a lot of cool stuff going on, and just a lot of work trying to prepare, for the upcoming season.
Yeah, Greg, when you look, you've obviously hit a lot of the tracks that you're going to hit again this year, but is there any place that now that you're going to run the series full beginning to end, a spot that you haven't hit yet that you're looking forward to, or that you're asking questions about, anything like that?
Well, it's going to be real exciting to go up through the Washington and Skagit and some of those places I've never been. I don't know. I've done it long enough that I know that we're gonna have some struggles, and we should be able to have some really good racetracks that we go to. But I'm really excited to go back up there. Zach Holloway's been with us for a while, and his family's from up there, and it'll be neat to go up there and race around his family, and I'm sure that'll mean a lot to him.
Greg Wilson joining us here on the program. Greg, you talked about just how busy you are at the shop and how intense this is. Is there a way you can share to our listeners how how significantly different it is, comparably, how much different it is, how more intense it is? I know it's a lot crossing T's and dotting I's, but what's the difference between this year and other years?
Well, first off, I want to put a plug in for the people at Hercules for initiating this, and all of our partners are back with DNC Hydraulics. Ohio Logistics is a huge part of our team. Gear Alloy, All Star Plumbing, Bedford Valley Petroleum. Those guys were all what initiated this to happen. But Hercules really stepped up to the plate, and they're a great company to be with. And the first part of this is being prepared to attack the marketing side. And they have a great staff. And we did a photo shoot yesterday for hero cards and things like that. And the difference is that we weren't really prepared truck and trailer wise, and that was a huge thing. And we kind of got sidetracked. We got a different truck and trailer from Shannon Wheatley, Austin Wheatley's father, out in Washington, and we had some trouble with the weather getting it back. And we got it about a little over 2 weeks ago now. And man, it's just been a huge undertaking. And I've had my wife and Zach and my brother-in-law Garrett and a bunch of family and friends here working day and night. I actually got some people here now, a construction company, fixing some things inside, and that's been the biggest thing at the moment. I think once we get past that, it's just being prepared to be gone from, right now, basically till we come back to Eldora in May. That's something that we're not used to.
Is that so? You're going to stay out, and some guys go back and forth, but with the amount of races that are going to be out on the West Coast, your plan is to kind of stay out there and enjoy it and work on the cars between the races out there.
Yeah, I mean, financially, I own my own team, and just the logistics of it, and I drive the truck and trailer, and just logistically, it don't make a lot of sense for us to come back, and we have. We're going to release a schedule here. Some of it's already been released. We're going to have a lot of dealer visits promoting Hercules Tire and all of our partners, Gear Alloy and some other guys through the Hercules at dealers and across the country. I mean, we got a couple dealer visits coming up in Florida, and we're going to do that and fill in those days off. But we're going to try to make it. My family's going on the road with me. We're going to try to take in some of the sites and try to enjoy this. I mean, it's a huge blessing to get this opportunity, and there's a lot of racers out there that never get this chance, and I've been pretty fortunate, and we want to take it in and enjoy it, not just the racing, but the sights and see things and do things that a lot of people don't get this opportunity, and I'm well aware that we need to make sure that we stop and enjoy it.
I tell you, over the years, one of the coolest things about sitting where I was sitting was when a guy like yourself, you make it through the whole year, and it's a grind. It's grueling. This schedule's grueling for everybody, from the officials to the crew guys to the drivers, and you're driving your own truck too. I mean, racing all night, get in the car, drive, you're getting in the truck, drive 5 hours. But when you get to that banquet at the end of the year, this year, I guess in October, to listen to the speech from the guys who have done this for the first time is incredible. And I'm sure that you'll have a great one too. Because you can recap in all the experiences that you'll have this year. You've had a lot of them. You've been fortunate enough to, you've run out west before, and you had that awesome win at Eldora last year. So you've had a pretty good taste of it. But that banquet speech, I'm sure in the back of your mind somewhere, you probably haven't even thought of it yet. But when you get to that banquet, I'd love to hear that speech. I'd love to hear that speech.
Well, I'm a pretty emotional guy anyway. I mean, I don't, I wear it on my shirt sleeve. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, and sometimes I get made fun of, because if I feel like if I feel emotional, I ain't afraid to tear up, and if I'm mad, I'm probably going to show my emotions. But that speech at the end will probably be full of a lot of a range of emotion, I'm sure. And like I said, I have the utmost respect for these guys that have done this for all these years, and I don't have no visions of going out there and doing this or doing that. And we have our goals, and we're excited just to be a part of the World of Outlaws. It's always been a dream since I was a little kid to get the opportunity to do this, and when I was racing for my parents and I would never have thought starting with a van and a flatbed trailer and some 10-year-old race car that we'd ever get this chance to do this. And, the history of the sport is amazing, and the Outlaws are a huge part of it. And, I just hope we can go out there and be a positive part of sprint car racing and do a great job for our partners and at the end of the day have some success on the racetrack.
You mentioned, Chris just asked you about the banquet speech. You mentioned your goals. Let's put you back in that podium. What would make this? I understand 91 wins would make it a great year. I get that. I hope this is not news to you. That might not happen, Greg. What would you, if you get to that banquet speech and say we did this and this, what would a couple of those goals be if you could check them off?
Well, I mean, for me, the first part of it is making sure that the people that are making this possible, the Hercules Tires, the High Logistics, are happy with us. I mean, it's so key in racing today. But after that, from the performance side, I mean, I have a goal that if we can end up, 7th or better in points, that would be a pretty amazing year, and maybe win, 3 to 5 races. I think that's reasonable. But if we can, do things like that, I'm going to be real happy. Starting off and being this basically a family team, and probably doing it a little bit the hard way. I'm not pulling no bones. Those teams that like TSR and KKR and there's a number of those teams out there that have been doing it for a long time. They're tough, and they're the benchmark. They're what make teams like mine try to work harder and compete and at least get a few wins here and there. And we're not that team, but that's our goal, to get up there and be competitive. And if we could do that and be competitive on most nights, I know we're going to have some nights that we struggle, but on most nights, if we're competitive, I'm going to be real happy.
Going to be happy indeed, and we can't wait to follow along, Greg. Congratulations again on the big announcement. We'll look forward to seeing you this weekend down at Volusia, and thanks for the time joining us here on Wing Nation.
Hey, thanks for having us, and thanks to our partner with Hercules Tire and all my partners, and Kistler Engines, Banshee Graphics is working hard, Slade Shocks, All Pro, Kinsler. I'm getting plugged in for everybody because my deal would not work if it wasn't for all these people. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some, and I apologize. But thank you. Thanks for having us, and thanks for what you do for our sport.
No problem, and get those plugs in. That's part of it. We understand that. So, Greg, thanks again, and look forward to it.
Yep. God bless, and can't wait to see all the race fans.
There we go. It starts this weekend for Greg Wilson. Okay. One of the first times I talked with Greg was at the PRI show, and he said, I'm building a team, and I'm really building it sort of like Brian Brown has built his team with the FVP and the Casey's General Store and all of it there. Well, one of the things we bust Brownie on all the time is every time he comes on, we get the sponsor plugs in. Greg is doing it. He is doing it successfully. He is running with the World of Outlaw Tour this year, and I just think it's an amazing experience that all of those partners have allowed him to do. It's so cool for him.
It's an important part of the foundation of the team and for what he's about to undertake here. But and Greg has been working toward this for several years now. I know he's been I know it's a dream come true to an extent for him. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does out there this year.
The other thing that just amazes me is that Greg feels like, and he will be competitive, especially certain places. He'll be very competitive, winning races along the way. The one thing I love about sprint car racing is when you look at team owners, you've got Tony Stewart, you've got Kyle Larson and Justin Marks, you got Casey Kane, you got Greg Wilson, you got the Caneric folks, you got Jason Side. You've got them from all walks of life, and the sprint car platform allows a guy like Greg Wilson with a lot of work. There's a lot of work off the track and on the track, that Greg Wilson can compete with Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and Kyle Larson, to use the NASCAR names. And that's so cool.
And he'll be right in the mix every night.
That's great. That is fantastic. We certainly wish Greg the best and can't wait to follow along throughout the season. We need to step away. We talk about competing challenges. What Bryan Clauson is doing, it's called the Circular Insanity Tour, and we'll talk about the insanity next. Stay with us.
This is Paul McMahon, and you're listening to Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs on Wing Nation.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing film. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
You know, it's everybody just trying to say my last name. They just don't finish it.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
And here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
For the most part, our hearts were wagon makers.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Back to the dirt. Here's Steve Post and Chris Dolack.
Welcome back. We are having a great time. We appreciate Greg Wilson joining us, Daryn Pittman joining us earlier on the program. Now we're going to talk a little circular insanity. We are talking with Bryan Clauson. His goal for this year is to race 200 times in 2016. I know Kendra and I have talked about it since it was announced last year in Knoxville. Bryan joins us now on the Hercules Tire Hotline. Hello, Bryan. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Well, I'll tell you what. You're 12 races down of the Circular Insanity Tour. So far, 4 wins. Looks like you're off to a solid start. How are things going?
So far, so good. It's this part of the season right now is kind of just par for the course, I guess, in years past. Kind of first time down here in Florida with the wing car, but usually racing throughout the year or throughout the month of February anyway. So. Hasn't been too crazy, but spent some time out in Arizona, won a few non-wing races, and excited to be in Florida for my first Florida in February with the All-Stars and World of Outlaws.
There's a lot of guys who would love for 4 wins and 12 races to be par for the course. I think you're doing pretty well. What when you head into the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car season and whatnot in the All-Stars, what are you most looking forward to with the wing car?
I think it's just getting back to some places for the first time, or not for the first time, getting back to some places for the second time. I spent all year last year kind of, I did a lot of NSL stuff, but we traveled on our off weekends. And when you go to some of these places for the first time, it's a lot harder than it is necessarily in a non-wing car. You got to be so precise and so perfect throughout the night with the wing car that you can't just kind of slack early in the night and figure it out late. You need to be good from the start of the night. So going back to the places for second and third times is really helpful. We kind of have a notebook now for some places, and then I'm excited to do some new stuff too. We're gonna do some stuff in the Northwest. I've never raced up there before, and of course, hitting the big ones, Kings Royal, Knoxville National, those places that we were very competitive at last year, but feel like we're certainly stronger now than we were middle of last year when we competed in those races.
Is there one or two or a couple drivers, crew guys that have been through the grind and whatnot that you've leaned on and maybe sought some advice from?
Not really. I mean, this is something that's kind of, this year's kind of especially something that's, I don't know that it's unprecedented, but certainly it's a bit different the way it's set up and with how we have it structured and bouncing around from wing to non-wing to midgets to Silver Crown cars and bouncing all over the place. So I think that's I'm not sure that anybody's been through that. At least at this pace and this many races. So it'll be interesting to see how that takes its toll. I think it's going to be as tough mentally as it is physically to do 200 races, especially as you get into the grind of May, June, and July, especially, and throwing the Indy 500 in there as well. So, it's going to be a challenge for myself, and I think, as a race car driver, that's what you look to do, is to continue to challenge yourself and make yourself better year in and year out. And I think this is certainly one way to do it.
Bryan, is there a stretch of time, a stretch during what is the most aggressive stretch? I know now we're talking about racing on weekends and you got 5 nights coming up at Volusia, but is there a period sometime this summer where you're gone for what's the most aggressive stretch?
I'd say the month of June is probably the most aggressive. There's a lot of I think I raced 28 of the 30 days in June. And there's a lot of double duty nights in there as well. We do, Indiana Midget Week is Tuesday through Sunday, both sprint car and midgets. I think we might have the Monday after that off, and we go to Pennsylvania for the USAC Eastern Storm, where a couple of those nights there's midgets along with Silver Crown at Williams Grove. From there, I'm pretty sure I fly from there. I don't have my schedule right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure I fly from there. Meet my wing guys in I think Devil's Bowl, and we catch a piece of ASCS Speed Week before catching back up with USAC midgets at Riverside, and then straight from Riverside to Ohio Speed Week, which leads directly into Pennsylvania Speed Week, which takes us through the end of June. So
that'll do it. That'll do it.
So that'll be pretty busy. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be, challenging. Remembering what car I'm driving and what I need to do on each night. But I feel like, last year I kind of structured a lot of things, knowing what I was getting into this year, and trying to teach myself how to jump back and forth as proficiently as possible.
I was showing my kids the sweatshirt with all on the back. You've got the country with all the different things on there. That they're going to use that in school, I think, is a map. For this is where everywhere that for a history lesson, a little bit on where everything is there. Just. What do you hope this leads to? I guess that's kind of what what's the end goal in running 200 races?
For me, it was never 200 was never a number that I set out to accomplish. For me, it was I wanted to be at every big race, short track race in America. Obviously, centerpieced around probably the biggest race in America, the Indianapolis 500, but if I didn't want to be out chasing points, racing a 3,000 to win USAC midget race on the same Saturday as Eldora is paying $50,000 to win at the Kings Royal. I think the form and shape of your professional short track race car driver right now is certainly changing. You used to be an outlaw or you used to chase USAC, and I think a new a little bit of a new wave of guys has kind of come in, and I think it's something that certainly just chasing money, I guess, to some degree, but I want to be at the Knoxville Nationals, I want to be at the Kings Royal, I want to be at Belleville. Obviously the Chili Bowl is nothing really going on, but the whole platform of this Chasing 200 was centerpieced around every big short track race that I could find on the schedule, and then kind of just building out from there and figuring out how to get from place to place and what makes sense, and then making sure that you're not doing it in a way that's taxing on your team to where performance will suffer. So I think for me it's as much of a personal challenge of being able to go through the grind and be able to jump back and forth. And, I think I was, kind of looking at it the other day and how lucky I am to, last year I was in the Indianapolis 500. I was in the Chili Bowl. I won Belleville. I was in the Kings Royal A-Main. I was in the Knoxville Nationals A-Main. Yeah. So here's all these, races that guys dream of being a part of, and I was able to do it in one calendar year. So I'm looking forward to adding to that. There's some races that I haven't got to do that I'm excited about doing, and we'll go from there. And I think it's just going to be a fun adventure.
Adventure indeed, it really is. We're going to touch base and follow along throughout the year along the way. And Bryan, if you keep the pace up, now you're 12 races down with 4 wins. You keep the pace up, you get 66 or 67 wins. Would that be all right?
That would be plenty. I think you'll see my pace probably slow a little bit. I think I'm running. I think the first the next 30 races or so, or there's like 26 World of Outlaw races, so I'd have to win 7 or 8 of those to stay on pace, and I'm not quite sure we're there yet, though. Although I feel like we hopefully can be contending for race wins, but I'm not sure we can rip off 8 here in the first little bit. But I'm excited. The wing car has been a challenge that I took on, basically because I got in it and didn't feel like I was very good at it, so I wanted to get better. And I feel like now, we're at a point where hopefully this year we can win some races and be in contention at the big ones.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Bryan, continued success on this. I look forward to catching up with you down at Volusia this weekend, and we'll be following along all year. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
There we go. Bryan Clauson joining us on the Hercules Tire Hotline, the Circular Insanity Tour. Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you what, this is going to be fun to follow. It really is. We need to step away. When we come back, our Kick It Person of the Week, folks. This is an incredible story. It includes video. We'll tell you about that and a whole lot more. Stay with us.
I'm Shane Stewart, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew crewwear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back.
Big news, fans of not boring things. NASCAR is coming to Phoenix for spring break. What's that going to be like? Imagine Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Don't Hate the Champion, Hate the Game, Busch, barbecuing, camping, live racing, getting caught up in cheering way louder than you expected, tailgating games, unofficial night games we can't really talk about, live music, fist pumping, chest bumping, holy Harvick, how have we not done this before? The Good Sam 500, March 11th through the 13th. For tickets from only $25, visit PhoenixRaceway.com.
Back to the dirt. Here's Steve Post and Chris Dolack.
Welcome back. We're so glad you joined us here on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire. Now, our Jeff Gordon Kick It Person of the Week, and we've expanded this. We talked about this last week, from Driver of the Week to Person of the Week, because there's so many cool people and good people doing so much good in the sport. If you have a suggestion, if you have a tip, if you have someone who's really doing something neat in the sport, just send it to wingnation@AOL.com. That's wingnation@AOL.com. This week, this is phenomenal. And Chris, you kind of know the story here. Doug Lockwood was out at Chowchilla, and it was a box stock race, and one of the cars, apparently the throttle hung on the car.
Yeah, I was talking to Doug about it. We saw the video yesterday, and so Doug used to work with World of Outlaws, and Doug's back out in California, and this car, beginner box stock race, so you're talking about somebody who's probably 6, 7, maybe at most 8 years old, a little kid racing, and the throttle hangs open. Well, what do? You know, I don't. You know, if you were driving down the street and your throttle hung open, what would you? So this little girl, as it turned out, was circling through the pits, trying not to hit anybody.
Not to hit anything, yeah.
And Doug sees it happening, and Doug runs over, and Doug makes like a defensive lineman and just grabs the side of the wing, spins the car around, hits the kill switch on it, and everybody had a good afternoon after that.
You can find the video of it. It's a short clip, 12, 15 seconds. Fast Four Media on Twitter at Fast Four Media. They have it there. Just absolutely amazing what he did, and I can't imagine. I don't know. I can't imagine what I'd have done, but that is a ballsy move.
When you see those things coming, and people go, "Oh, it's a beginner box stock. It's not going that fast." You'd be surprised at how quick these kids can come off the track, or they'll crash, whatever. And you see these things coming through the pit area, and a throttle hung open. That car's probably got the potential to be going 35, 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And he jumped in front of it and stopped it, and probably prevented the little girl from being injured, and who knows how many people. So,
man, that is great. So our Kick It Person of the Week, Doug Lockwood, really, really cool, great stuff, and a salute. It's just as a person that lives here, has kids, it's good to know there's people like Doug out there that sometimes when someone gets in trouble, maybe there's someone who will jump in front and kind of take control of it.
I offered him a job on my team.
There you go. Okay, yeah, exactly. I think the Carolina Panthers could have used that skill on Sunday night. But yes, exactly. Looking forward to, of course, the season. The World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Cars kicking it up this week. Won't be long before the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, presented by MAV TV, kicks it off March 11th and 12th at Creek County Speedway and Sapulpa, Oklahoma. I've struggled with that
Easy for you
name.
to say.
Yes, exactly. But $250,000 point fund. $60,000 to the champion, 20 races on MAV TV, the best TV package in all of sprint car racing. So we look forward to our friends at the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour getting their season started. Not too far off now. We're about a month away from March 11th and 12th at Creek County Speedway. And with that, I think that's about going to wrap it up. But Chris, now you're headed to Florida. You're not going to make it this week, right? Or
I'll be down there Sunday night, catch the last night of the sprint cars down at Volusia, and I'll be working over at the RPM Promoters Workshops
with Speed Sport over there
with
doing
Speed
stuff,
Sport, and we're going to be talking to a bunch of promoters, and going to roll out a neat program I'm going to put in place for this year. We'll break that out on Monday. One of my passions, working with these short tracks and track operators and promoters, and having the platform at Speed Sport to do some pretty cool things. We're going to put a program together for a week in June. That's going to be a neat thing. I'll have more details on that next week.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for a neat short track plan. So I'm excited about that. Excited to get down there. We're going to actually work with Dirt Vision and Dirt on Dirt a little bit, and we're going to work with them on some content. We're going to turn them into some TV shows too.
Great.
Next week with the late models and the modifieds and the big blocks. So
Good
excited
stuff.
About that too.
Good stuff. Need to mention this as a programming note. Next week, Wing Nation, and I think this is the first time we've had to move it, but next week, Wing Nation will air at 1 o'clock Monday. Because what we're doing on MRN, and I know if you're one of those sprint car fans that doesn't like NASCAR, I'm sorry. But what we have next Tuesday is Media Day, and we are going to go from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. MRN.com is going to be live at NASCAR Media Day. That's going to take up our normal Tuesday time slot. So Kendra Jacobs is going to be here at 1 o'clock on Monday. And the show will be available for download. If you watch it live, that's going to affect you. If you download it and watch it at some other time, it's really not going to affect you. But we're going to do that. But next Tuesday, a big day on MRN.com. And, hey, if I get one of those sprint car guys like Larson or Casey Kane, I'll ask him a sprint car question. Just for you guys. I'll do that. How about that? So that's a big day. That's next Tuesday on MRN.com. We appreciate our guests joining us here today. Daryn Pittman joining us, Greg Wilson and Bryan Clauson. And, of course, Speed Sport. Chris, we appreciate you joining us here as well. We've got Tony Stewart on the cover.
We've got Tony Stewart on the cover.
You and everyone else.
Yeah,
and
we won't be the only monthly magazine.
This was before Tony made the latest news that he's made. So,
it's a great story, though.
Yes, it is. No doubt about it. So, great stuff. We appreciate Chris joining us. But as we say each and every week, more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here on MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.